Rise, riders of Theoden! Spears shall be shaken! Shields shall be splintered! A sword day! A red day! And the sun rises!
Hello and welcome back to Lord of the Collections. If you're new here, thanks for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future collection tours in Middle-earth. I'm your host, Tyler Macklem, and this is my co-host, Valchrist. And we are joined today by our guest, Enthycia, and his amazing collection, Through the Power of the Palantir. We are in the land of Finland, and we are very excited to see Enthycia's collection. So thanks for joining us. Sit back and enjoy the show. So, Enthycia, how long have you been collecting?
I have been collecting from 2015, so 8 years now. And that's quite small amount of time for like to this point where I'm now, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. It's a small amount of time, but it's a very impressive collection for 8 years.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah. So well done.
Yeah, thanks.
So what got you into collecting? Why do you collect?
Yeah, so that started pretty early on in my life. Like most likely it came from my family. So they have been collecting some sort of stuff like throughout their life. And I guess that's the theme of the things that bite me as well. So first I did collect some cards from hockey and stuff like that. And then like some other things through my life. And yeah, I was a huge Lord of the Rings and fantasy fan for a long time. I started to collecting the books, not really seriously, but when I saw one, I bought it like 18, 20 years old. And then on 2015, a friend of mine saw pick from a new Weta release that was my favorite character from Hobbit. And then I just went and bought that statue. And from that moment, I got pretty hooked to this stuff. And now we are in trouble.
Yeah. So as we've been doing these interviews, I've and even speaking with a lot of the collectors online, there definitely seems to be some kind of predisposition in our DNA to collect. It's not. I don't think I found a collector yet where Lord of the Rings is the first thing that they started collecting. Like by that I mean before the movies. There wasn't a lot of things to do with Tolkien. Sure, you had the books. There were some pieces of art out there. I don't think the animated movies ever had anything released for them that I recall. So
yeah, there actually was.
Definitely seems to be.
There was this stuff before the movies. This pewter stuff. Like some of these are not from the movie. They are pretty old, I guess. But yeah, there was not much to collect for sure before the movies because because if you spoke about Lord of the Rings or fantasy at all, it was not a thing. Like many people didn't know what the hell is Lord of the Rings before the movies really blew it up to so-called mainstream people.
Exactly. I wasn't very commercialized. I know it was the property, a lot of the rights to produce certain things like games, for example, that belong to the Saul Zaentz company and Tolkien Enterprises since the early 80s, actually. But in terms of collectibles and media and anything like that, there was really a lot of untapped potential in there until the Peter Jackson movies. So, but yeah, it's cool to see that we all had a little bit of collecting in our bones before the movies just kind of seemed to open the floodgates to us going nuts and getting all this stuff. So
and getting trouble.
yeah. So obviously you're a book fan, and that's one big piece of work. And of course they split it up into the 3 movies, kind of like Tolkien had to split up the books into 3 because of the publisher saying this is too big, you got to split it up. But out of those 3 movies, which one is your favorite?
That's pretty hard because I don't really see them as 3 movies. For me, it's one long movie and that's it. Like if you take one out of it, the context just like goes away. And yeah, I think it's one whole movie. But if I need to pick one, I would most likely take the first one, just because 2 of my favorite characters presented so well. So Balrog and Ringwraith. So I must pick the first one just because of that. But for me, they are just one long movie.
I think you're in the majority there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like there is no point on just watching one and then don't watch the rest of it. Like yeah, it's one story and it's one movie, just split in 3 different pieces.
So when you were in the movie theater, did you have that experience where when the first movie got to the end, about half the crowd went, "What? That's it? It does it?"
Not
But
really,
when you could
because
pick out all the people that didn't know that that's not the end of the story and that they're going to be.
No, not really, because I was in the first showing, so you had to queue like 24 hours to even get there. So it was people who actually knew what is going to happen and they knew what Lord of the Rings was. Even though Finland is really small and everything comes a bit late here, or like it takes a long time that Finns like get something there. So people was actually still costumed like for Treebeard and all that crazy stuff like and Gandalf and stuff like that. So there was really like so-called hardcore fans back then. So I guess most of the people knew that it's going to continue and what the story actually is.
So living in Finland, are there any unique challenges when it comes to collecting that maybe collectors in America or mainland Europe just don't have to worry about?
For sure. We are 5 million people place that most don't even know that we exist. So there is like no shops. There is like one guy who does sell these things from his small place, but it's mostly online and he's focused like Alien and Marvel and DC and all stuff. So it's not just Lord of the Rings. He has very few pieces and he don't bring any new pieces at all. So basically I need to buy from other countries because there is not too many other collector in Finland, at least to my knowledge. Of course, Finnish people are pretty shy and they don't like to make noise of themselves. So there might be some huge collector here, but just don't speak to anyone about it. So that could be the case. But yeah, that's the challenge here. There is nobody to share these things, to buy these things. Shipping is crazy sometimes because we are so far. And the taxes, of course, inside Europe. So buying from USA or China or anything outside Europe is pretty much a no-go, except if the piece is super cheap and a must-have.
That makes sense.
For example, Prime 1 Gandalf and Balrog piece was $2,300 or something like that. Shipping was 1,000 and then taxes like another 800. So yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that takes the fun out of it real quick.
Yeah, that indeed, when like USA people especially get like with free shipping and stuff like that. So I could of course get it a bit cheaper from retailer in Europe, but it would still cost like 2,000 almost in euros. So yeah, it's expensive here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Although I would say we Canadians, we do not forget about you Finns, especially when it comes to the World Juniors.
Yeah, we have been fine on hockey side. Yeah, that's true. For small country, we have done well.
Yes, really well.
Yeah.
So do you remember your first collectible?
I do, and I almost spoiled it, but yeah, it's Dane from Hobbit, and that's the first piece that I got from Weta. So they put it pre-order 2015, and I got it 2016. I waited almost a year, and I didn't buy a single piece after that. In that time, after that, I bought like carefully a couple of pieces, and then it went out of hands like really fast. So yeah, but that was the first piece I bought.
Okay.
And I still have it there.
Nice. Well, you always remember your first piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess most people do. And actually, if you speak first thing that I ever got that's in Lord of the Rings, it's this book that I got when I was 7 years old. It's pretty in bad shape because I have been reading it many times.
Oh yeah.
But that won't ever leave from my collection. It's like the most precious piece because it started it all.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what do you mainly collect? I mean, I know you're going to give us a little tour later so we can see all the
Yeah.
cool stuff you have. But just from the picture at the moment, we see mainly statues. There's their philosophy to your collection. Do you connect like United Cutlery replicas? Do you just focus on the statues? Do you have, how do you organize it all in your mind and decide what to buy and what you're not interested in?
So yeah, that's actually something that I'm working as well. It's going to go through a bit change soon, but I mainly collect statues and then books, and I have couple rings and a lot of books and other small stuff. And about display wise, my Lord of the Rings is displayed in story order. So it starts from the Sauron and Gollum and Isildur and stuff, and then it go from skein to skein, and it continues to the end where a Gollum actually drops to lava in Sammath. And that's strictly what I'm doing with Lord of the Rings right now. So it's going in story order from self to self to self. And with Hobbit, you basically can't do that because you would need like 15 times all the dwarves. And that's just not something I would like to do and buy the same statue. So in Hobbit, I just have characters that belong together, so-called, and then just trying to present some part of the movie in that way. And I am strictly against solo displaying. None of my pieces is something that I want to present alone. I always want to tell more of a story about the piece and the skin on the movie, and I always try to figure different stuff to just show the story behind the the skin on the movie. That's pretty much the only thing I'm focused.
Cool. So what is your favorite piece in your collection and what is your least favorite? But don't tell us which, and we are going to try and guess.
Yeah, you can guess.
Okay. So let's hear them.
So you want to guess or you want me to tell first?
So yeah. Tell us your favorite and least favorite, but don't tell us which one's which. And then we'll
okay, yeah. Now I get it. Yeah, two pieces. Okay. So that's a hard one because I never buy anything if I don't have an idea for it to display. Like I always have some sort of idea if I buy a statue. Like if I don't have a display idea for it, I just don't buy it because you can always buy it from secondhand. But maybe some of the old statues could be one. Okay, the original Balrog, the Big Daddy, that must be one. You can decide which one. And then another piece. Let's see what I have here. It's so hard to decide because all of the pieces are pretty great.
Yes.
And I don't want to give you a like boring Hobbit stuff. Like it's not fair. They are different movies.
It's tough because and maybe it's not really necessarily your least favorite, but maybe one that you're just not sure how to display it, or it just doesn't have a space, and you like it, but you just don't know where to put it or where it fits in your collection.
Yeah, okay. Then I have a bit of trouble right now with Human Studio, the Witch King, the 1/4. I know many people like it, but it's a bit out of context because everything else is from the movies, and it's also a big piece, and then it's pretty hard to display right now, especially after the changes, and my corner case is going to go through a huge change. So it's going to be a bit of trouble making in the future. Now I a bit of spoiled it, but I guess you guessed any case because I said the Balrog.
Yeah.
It was not a hard one, to be honest.
Yeah. So the Daddy Rog is your favorite, and
Yeah,
the problem child is the Human Studios Witch King.
yeah, it's super cool piece, and I really like it, but it's just hard to display because I don't want to display anything alone. So I would need some good Gandalf to go with it, like with Shadowfax and all that stuff. Like I know they have the old Shadowfax, but that goes for Helm's Deep for me. But maybe something. I don't know.
That's fair.
So what are some new arrivals to your collection? What's the most recent pieces you've gotten?
I actually have another side of the room, the Saruman on throne. It's unopened yet. And then I should have very soon the Ring Wraith bust from, now I blank out.
Infinity?
From the Infinity Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it was Infinity. But in any case, the one there with the Amon head base and that stuff. So it's going to the corner, and it's going to be something quite different than people does on their display. I have some weird ideas for that piece.
Those are some good pieces to new additions.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And I actually got paid just a couple of days ago the Elendil one from Weta as well.
Oh yeah.
So that's one as well. And hopefully I got spot for Kyle's piece, Samad Noor. It's something I'm missing from the custom pieces, and he's redoing it. So I hope I got spot for that piece as well.
Yes, I am excited for that one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's super cool, and it gives a little bit of nice touch on my last shelf.
Well, I'm sure everyone is tired of waiting and just would love to see a collection tour here. If you could walk us around the room here and give us just a case by case view of your collection.
Yeah, sure. It needs a bit of going up and down because they are so damn tall. So
no worries.
Yeah, this is like the two Hobbit cases, and the corner as well. Let me see. Let's go from the up. So here we go. This is the first case. Actually, let's go up. The details there are the dwarf helms from front gate of Ereborn, and then there is the drawing from the back door.
Oh yeah,
where Bilbo goes up. That's some details. Then we have some smokes there and a bit of throne. Then we go for Azog and Thorin. There is a throne as well. Then a bit of dwarves and books. Then we have this. You might recognize that from the throne. It's where the Arkenstone is, and actually you can open the door as well. Then there is a bit of those extended special movie edition pieces, like 3 of them, and then the bookends from the Ereborn. More of the dwarves, and then there's the wizards and the trolls. Oh, my finger. And then there is actually a book there that is finished, and it's the first edition of Hobbit that ever came in Finland. So that is cool. Like, it's like 60, 70 years old soon, or something like that. And then the second Hobbit case goes a bit more like battle scene. There is 2 handmade arrows there. They are like miniature, of course, but they are the arrows that kill Smaug. Yeah. And then we have Dol Guldur there, and a bit more of Dol Guldur. And let's open the doors. So, there is a bit of Dol Guldur. Then Azog and Bolg with couple helms and books again. And there is Dane and a couple pieces from the last war. So Elf and Dwarf against the Troll, and Dane is commanding up there. So I'm using quite much these stands to get them elevated and get a bit of different look. Yeah, and elevation.
Yeah, and they blend into the back of the cabinet. Yeah, they're both same material, so they look really good.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, and there is the handing of this case. It's smoke from the design from Weta, and then it's just carved to the metal. Yeah. Then we have the big boy, the corner case. This is pretty hard to display on camera because it's like 1 meter to 1 meter, and then it's like 1 meter deep as well. So it's super big. And here is the problem child, the Human Studios Witch King. And this is just themed with the servants of Sauron. So a bit of ring weight, Witch King, again, a bit of elevation. It's high up there, looking pretty cool in my opinion. And these are all going to get new plays later because I'm doing this corner totally different. And then when we go down, we have this big bad boy, Thranduil on throne, a bit more elves, Tauriel and Legolas. We have a bit more of Thranduil there. And this piece was pretty interesting because I had to build it inside the case.
I was going to say, how did you get that in there?
Yeah, so basically first the base, then the tree, then all the pieces, and that was some stressing stuff to do because I had to turn it all the way upside down, and yeah, it was not fun. But it's there, and soon I need to take it out there. So that's a bit worrying stuff.
Yeah.
And the detail, I don't know if you see it, but that's the text of the ring. Yeah, cool. And that's the design from Weta for Eye of Sauron.
Is it the customizations are done by you, or do you have someone do them for you?
All these cases has done by a Finnish carpenter company called Puustikki. And so I designed and gave them the ideas, and then together we just talk through it, and then the end result is here. So it was work together, but the initial idea of what is where, so to say, was mine. And then they just gave some like how to do it so that it works and stuff like that. And then we make some small changes, and that's how it happened. And they are all, of course, like for my own like measurements and stuff like that to get the display idea like I want it. So here is the first Lord of the Rings one, and that's the Bilbo's top of the door in the back end. And then we start with the history of the ring in the start. So a couple of Sauron, a bit of Gollum, and then Isildur as well. This shelf is totally fucked right now. Oh, sorry. So these are going to different shelves later. So it's like too stucky. They just don't fit there. But I didn't have any other place it for now. So they are there. So there is back end, the new version, the big one. And then there is Bilbo on the desk. So these are changing place later. Then we see the Gandalf first time coming with the horse, a bit of Bilbo having a birthday thingy. And then one of my favorite things, the ring braid. There is the old sideshow Weta ring braid without the base. Then a bit of Sam and Frodo having a meal. And then, of course, the Master Collection. And this piece was so important for me. And I still kind of hate to this day that they had the arm up, because in the movie it's never up, so it should be in the tree. And yeah, I'm a bit salty about that. But it's a great piece still. Like,
you're not alone.
Like, super great. Yeah,
that was my one gripe with that piece, is it should have had both hands on, because that's how you see it.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't understand why Weta does like because that's clearly from a scene. So why you change it? Because you knew how it went.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there is the handle. It's the door of Bilbo. Yeah. And then the story continues. One of my favorite shelf is going next. So up we go. There is a lot of ring weights, a bit of Witch Kings, and this shelf and the next one is going to be removed, and they have something to do with the boost. And I'm going to try something pretty crazy with that. But yeah, a lot of ring weights, a bit of Arvenan and Aragorn. Then we have just Rivendell and a couple of movies, different versions. And then we have this custom Doors of Moria, a bit of Beast, and a bit of Gandalf going there. Some old pieces and a couple books again. And then we go back down. This shelf is actually quite not ready. Like, I would like to have Cave Troll at some point, the old one. I really didn't like the, oh, my finger again. I really didn't like the Weta's new one. So I would like to get the old one, but this shelf is not like, don't have enough room for the Cave Troll right now. So I need to figure out something, but it's meant to present the fight. Like Legolas is fighting, I know, Grongir, Gimli is fighting, Gandalf is kind of fighting against the Cave Troll, and then the Cave Troll would be there middle of them. But it's quite rare piece, and to get it Finland in one piece is a challenge, and it costs a lot. So that's why I don't have it right now. The detail there, we tried to do something that reminds of the elves, so a bit of Rivendell inspiration there. And then the shield is the handle, the elven shield that I guess most of the people does recognize. So that's the second Lord of the Rings case.
I like that
then
one.
we go, then we go my absolutely favorite shelf, the Gandalf and the Balrog one. This is like,
he's surrounded.
I just think this, I think this shelf just like, in picture it might look like they are too close to each other, but when you actually see in real life, it makes perfect sense. Like, it's Gandalf fighting the Balrog from all possible angles, and I really like it. One of my favorite pieces, and I would like to own one day the Prime One piece, but that might take a long time because then I need another shelf, and I have an idea for that one as well already. And yeah, then we go for the Galadriel and Frodo chat. There is a bit of dark Galadriel as well. This is super cool piece from Weta. I think they managed to do it perfectly, and I really like how it's behind the normal Galadriel. It's like changing the character at all. I just like this shelf pretty much as well. Then just a couple old, these are something that new people don't know at all, like old good cassette movies. I didn't even know that they exist, actually. I thought that it's always just DVD, but yeah, they actually do exist. Then this Alan Lee sketchbook is super good. Middle-earth from script to screen as well, amazing. Just something so heavy and cool stuff there. Then I guess you know what this shelf is presenting. It's the Amon Hen one. I actually have the both Argonauts, but because there is no room, so I did bring the smaller one to my parents' place. And yeah, it's a bit too less spacey right now, but I'm figuring out what to do for that shelf. And then we have, these are actually the book handlings that I use to keep the books up. I don't know why it's there right now, but that's something that is really not complete. I would need a couple more orcs there, and then it would be presenting like the 3 hunters chasing down the orcs. But it's something that has been like that forever, and I don't know when it's going to change. Maybe someday. And the details on this case, this is the endings are from Orc Tank, so Saruman's Tower, and then we just try to make it look like a bit techy and going forward, like just like when it's just like a bit rude and simple stuff, like just try to bring that out. And then we of course have the Uruk-hai shield here.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's not flat, so it's like a bit going out here and here, so it's like really cool. Something that you can't really see on the picture. So same like the elf shield. It's not like straight flat. It's different here, and it goes like a bit curvy on the middle. So there is some details on these. Then we go to the Rohan caves. So there is the Medusel front door. There is the horse heads and the sun thing on the middle. And then let's open the doors. there is the fight between Gandalf and Saruman about the Theoden, and Gandalf is freeing, of course, and then some guards and Eowyn is inspecting how things turns out. That's the story on there. This is pretty obvious. I guess we are in Helm's Deep. I actually have the new Helm's Deep coming as well, but that don't fit on that shelf, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But I have some ideas. And then we have one of the most favorite pieces of most of the people, so Treebeard, hanging there with a bit of Saruman and Sauron. This is not optimal setup, and it's going to be changed later. The optimal setup would, for me, be the Saruman on throne and old Sauron behind it, but it don't fit to that place, so I need to figure out this shelf later. But they are there, and Treebeard is one of the favorite, of course. It's like, it's just dominating by size and details. Like, it's a unique piece that we most likely won't be seeing done for a while. And if someone is going to do it bigger than that, it's going to be damn huge.
Yes.
And then we have the Shield of Rohan. Rohan, there, one of them. There is multiple of them, and I just picked this one. This is actually flat, and it should have a thing in the middle, but for some reason I missed it, and it's a blank, but it's still cool. And then the last case is the Rohan one, I mean the Condor one. There is the Argonaut heads, then the tree, and another Argonaut head, and then we go to the shelf itself. So here, this shelf is actually like that Condor thing should not be there, but I would like someone to make Denethor, so I could make the scheme where Denethor was looking Faramir and he was disappointed and he saw Boromir over his shoulder. So that's what this scene is trying to present, but without Denethor it's not really working. So I'm just waiting Weta to do as a Denethor, please. And then we go to the Minas Tirith, a super cool piece, LED lights and all, a bit of super old and small piece of Witch King and Fell Beast, and then of course the Grond. That is destroying, Grond destroying the gates. Then we have the Fight of Pelennor here, a bit of Eowyn against Witch King, a Fell Beast, middle of them, and then background with the King of the Dead, and a bit of Helm as well there to make some details. Then we have another great score from Weta. This is one of my favorites as well. The Mouth of Sauron, it's just so perfect. Like every single detail in this character is just so cool. And it's empty from the other side because I haven't bought yet the Aragorn on Black Gate, the riding Aragorn one. It fits perfectly together, but for some reason that piece has been avoiding me for a long time, and I never seem to find a fund to buy it. And the last shelf is a bit of custom piece from Kyle again, then Sam and Frodo on Urk armor, then Sam carrying Frodo and Gollum and Sam fighting, and then Gollum actually dropping down, looking the ring. So it all ends here. And then Sammathnaur hopefully joins this shelf, and I do a bit of rearranging. But that's it. That's my collection room. And I of course hope that if I get more cases, they will make some sort of possibility of displaying you bow to no one spot like Aragorn is already done with the king outfit. And then I hope that they add the hobbits on some way. I don't know how, but that's my dream. I would really like to display that idea. But yeah, cool. Here is my pieces and my cases.
Well, if Kyle does the Grey Havens piece, then that will for sure be the last one.
I'm not sure about that, because already in book and already in movies, I really felt that there should not have been so many endings. Like I understand the feeling of getting the end for Frodo and stuff, but I don't know if I want to go that far. because the book and the movie are super different in the end, because there is no desire thing where they take it back from Saruman. So I most likely would end my display to You Bow to No One. It really fits the story, actually, in my opinion. At least movie-wise for me.
The collection should always reflect the desires of the collector. Sometimes it's not about just including everything that's out there. That's the philosophy some collectors are, is to just grab every piece that there is and kind of throw it all in there. But the way that you've done it is pretty cool to tell a movie story, and to also see that the displays themselves, to us, it's just like, well, where do I put this? Where do I put that? I have a shelf here. I have a spot on the ground there, whatever. It's more for convenience than anything else. But you've incorporated your cabinets as part of their collectibles in and of themselves, the way you've customized them, the way you've arranged them and decorated them to be part of the collection itself. That's really cool. So congratulations, man. Really well done.
Yeah, thanks. And I think that people who are spending a lot of money on these things, and not actually even a lot, but you should pay some attention to display as well. Like why to buy so expensive things and then display them like just like they are something that you don't even actually like. It looks like you don't even care if you put them one here and one there, and there is like it's important for me that they are like well thought. For me, I know all people don't like my displays because there are so many things going on and stuff like that. And some people just prefer to single display and stuff like that. But for me, it's important that you pay attention how you display and especially what is next to each other, that they have some connection. But that's just me. Like you said, it should be reflecting the collector itself and what you like. And the most important thing for me is that you like the collection and it's bringing you joy, however you do it, how small it is or how big it is. As long as it brings joy and not stress, it's fine for me.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how it just tells a story, and it reminds me of a bit of Elrond's study in Rivendell and how it shows the history of the elves through Middle Earth, and he's got a bit of a collection. He's got the shards and Narsa and
there is a bit of that.
Gil-galad's armor and that kind of stuff. So.
And if I would have more room, I would have some other, like, I don't like exactly that my cases are next to each other. I would like there to be a bit of room between them, so I could make pedestals between them and then put some helms and weapons from different characters as well. But it just would need so much more room that's not option right now.
All right.
A conundrum all collectors have: space.
Yes, space. The final frontier.
I guess so. Like you must be super lucky if you don't have any issues with the space.
So tell us about your custom cabinets. Would you recommend going that route? Do you think they're worth it? I think they look great. I love them. They're some of the best cases I've seen a collection displayed in. I think it's really cool that they're Lord of the Rings themed cases. So
that's a bit of tough question. Like, they cost pretty much. I won't say the exact price, but we are speaking 5 numbers for the 8 cases, so it's not cheap. It's definitely not for everyone, and it totally depends what are you looking for. Like, I was not, like, in the start when I got bored of my old cases, I was not going to make these detailed. I just got driven a bit out of the idea, and then I was just a bit too excited, and then it went out of hands, as it often does. But I was just looking for specific dimensions in the first place. And then there was just no company that was doing it in the way that I was happy. And then I found these guys, and I maybe got a bit crazy about them. And then I just asked them for a price, and it was a bit too much for me. But then I just went like, damn, it's just money, and I really need new cases. And then this is the end result of it. Would I recommend it? yes and no. You know, it's a huge investment, and these are really hard to sell if I ever stop collecting, because they are so specifically to Lord of the Rings. So it's not like I'm going to sell them in Finland for sure. And shipping one case does weigh about 100 kilos or something like that. So the shipping will be nightmare. It's like super expensive and stuff. Most likely only option is actually to drive myself then to somewhere in Europe if I want to sell them. Like sending them to USA costs like 20K right now with the ship. It's a no-go. Nobody would pay that much shipping. So yeah, there is some benefits. You can design it yourself. You can decide the dimensions, so you can display the ideas you have, and you can design the lighting to light them in the way you want and stuff like that, but it's expensive for sure. So at least think it through before you pull the trigger if you're going that way. But I'm always going to vote for custom ones, because you can make them to look yourself, and they will always pop from them like masses. So it gives them a nice look, I would say.
Definitely, you know, and
Yeah.
when you spend so much on a collection, some of these pieces,
Yeah.
you know, are quite expensive. You know,
They are.
you want to display them the best way that you can. To the
Yeah.
piece deserves that, right? You know, and
yeah, I agree.
you know, and so that's something maybe new collectors, you know, haven't really thought out of when they start collecting, is like, okay, you're buying all this stuff, and then but how are you going to display, you know? And it really adds just another element when you can put it in an actual case, or in this case, you know, a custom case designed for that stuff. And like, I'm of the opinion too that wood grain cabinets, you know, they just look, Tolkien collectibles, Lord of the Rings just look better in wood grain, in my opinion. You know, it just feels more Middle Earth like, you know, like it fits the world. You know, if you had stainless steel and it was, you know, it wouldn't feel as Tolkien like. And now obviously some, you know, that's just personal taste, and
of course,
you know,
and budget.
yeah. You know,
You're making me conscious
actually
about my IKEA cases.
I started with the IKEA cases as well. When I started collecting first, and I got pissed off because like the Weta's Balrog didn't fit there, and I was like, fuck, where did I put this? And then I put it top of it, and it was like dusty, and then I just was like, oh, I need to get a solution to this, and yeah. But what comes to wood looking more Tolkien, that's one of the comments when I post to another forums or sites than Lord of the Rings, that these really look like they are from Lord of the Rings, and they really fit super well for the collection and the theme. So like Star Wars collectors and Marvel collectors and stuff like that, they have been like, this actually fits very well. It wouldn't fit them or their collection because it's skiffy or superheroes, but for Lord of the Rings, it does fit.
You're right. Right on. So when looking at collections, I always think there are two types of holes in collections. One is when you enter the collecting game at a certain point where there's a piece that's already in the past. Like, for example, you mentioned the Aragorn writing at the Black Gates. Yeah. Kind of dating it to when you started collecting. I think that piece had already been collected. So that's one hole that people have in their collections, is that there's a piece that's already in the past that you don't have because you weren't there collecting when it was released. So there's always the option, obviously, to pick that up later. The other kind of hole is the one when you're already collecting, but for one reason or another, maybe because it didn't interest you at first, or you just couldn't afford it, there were too many things coming out at once, and you had to pass on it, and you currently don't have it, but you are thinking about getting it because there's a regret there that you missed it. So for you, what is one thing that came out when you were already collecting that you passed on and you kind of wish you hadn't, and now you're thinking about it?
There is actually not too many, because for a long time when I started, Weta was the only people releasing stuff. And I had a bit of different plan on my life before, and then I had a bit of extra cash, so I pretty much could buy every single piece back then. So there is not too many pieces from Weta that I actually missed. A lot of the pieces are old pieces that I didn't buy as new, but I had to find from second hand. So because I came so late to this game, I have been paying a way more than some old collectors for some pieces. And sometimes it takes time to find the right piece on the right price, so to say. But the Prime 1 Gandalf piece is maybe the like, I don't have many regrets, like, because I know if I buy something, I want it, and I most likely try to find a way to do it. So like, there is a lot of cool pieces, like the new Sauron one-on-one bust from Infinity Studio. It's super cool and all, but I couldn't even bring it to my home because it's so big. So even if it's cool, I don't really want it. Like, how do I display it? Like, it doesn't fit my collection, to be honest. So there is not too many pieces like that. But if I need to say one, I would say the Balrog and Gandalf from Prime 1. There is things that I'm not happy about it. Like, I don't understand why they had to make the dwarves and all that detail on the bottom of the mountain, because there was none on the movie. I don't understand why they don't have certain stuff on Gandalf, but it's just so great scene that that's a piece I need to own at some point. But I have found pretty rare piece on the second market, so I guess I'm finding that one as well.
Nice. So what advice would you give to new collectors getting into the hobby?
Just one word: patience. That's all you really need. Like, be patient. Don't try to go too far too fast. If you do that, you might find yourself in trouble later. Just like, buy what you can, enjoy what you have, and you can never compete with the biggest, fast. You need time, you need patience. And then if you want to compete, just stay calm and patient, and that's it. That's really the only thing that you need, because shipping times is long these days. You might need to wait 1 year for piece. If you are not patient, you're going to lose your mind. And finding the piece for like good price, that takes time. You can't hurry it. Sometimes you're lucky, you get it fast, but most of the times you don't. And that's just the game. You just need to be patient, in my opinion.
Yes,
Nice.
collecting is definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint, especially a collection that size. And when you get up there, you're not gonna get a huge collection overnight, and if you do, you're gonna spend a lot of money to do so.
Yep, absolutely. And for example, my case is I waited them for almost 2 years from like the initial planning to make the order and then actually to get them here. So it's a long process for sure.
Absolutely. So we're only a month and a half into 2023, but what do you think of the releases so far? And is there something that you hope to see down the road? I know you mentioned Denethor. You're not alone. I've been patiently waiting for many years myself, but beyond that, is there other things that haven't yet been announced, but you would like to see for sure? The whole in your collection, so to speak?
Yeah, there is a couple things that I would like to be made, like the Hobbits from Yubo No One scene is one of them. I would like to see or hope that they finish the either mini line or then the classic line, so that you could actually present the Fellowship of the Ring around Rivendell for my personally for me. So that's something I hope that they make, like these static poses like the mini Gimli and Gandalf are, so that you could actually make the full Fellowship as the same type, like that you don't need to have
asking for that forever.
Yeah. So that's one. I would love to see Sam and Shelob as next master collection for sure. In a big scale, that would make sense to me. Another option for that is actually Gandalf and Witch King. So those are something that I would like to see as a next master collection from Weta. Weta hasn't released so much this year yet, because they always release in like summer. So I don't have an opinion of them. I don't really feel Prime 1 pieces to fit my collection. Personally, like they are detailed, they are cool pieces, but their base are overdone for me. So I haven't really been interested in the whole line at all except the Gandalf piece. And then other new players in the game, so to call, just too big for me. Like 1-2, 1-3, I can't do it. I just don't have room. And also the funds are going then to be a bit of problem. So there hasn't been so much going on for me personally in the start of the year, but of course Kyle is doing some old pieces, always great, and hopefully he brings something new as well later in the year. But I'm a bit like I'm a bit of the case right now that I'm not getting that much of the new pieces because the room is just so full. So maybe when I get the Hobbit pieces out, I actually didn't speak about that, but that's the plan. So get rid of the Hobbit pieces, either to storage or to sell them. But then I get a bit more Lord of the Rings room, and then I can plan a bit more, like if I want to do something new with them, and maybe find some interesting in new pieces actually.
Okay. Well, you sell Dane because he was your first piece. Do you feel like you need to preserve him because it has that special meaning, or he's he's part of the Hobbit collection? If you're getting rid of it, he has to go as well.
Yeah, everything needs to go if I'm getting rid of them. So I don't really like to display Hobbit and Lord of the Rings side by side. I mean, like when they are on their own cases or own shelf, it's fine. But like I don't put Sauron or Saruman. Okay, they are in. That's a bad example. Let's say I don't put Balrog with Asok, for example. For me, it's a no-go. I wouldn't never do that. So for me, it's everything or nothing in this case. So most likely the Hobbit pieces will go, and then I need to figure out if I'm going to custom the cases again, because they are from Hobbit's Den, and that's look a bit weird.
You make you're a hard man. You can make hard decisions. Because you stick to your guns. Let's just say you don't make compromises. If it doesn't fit or you don't like it, it's got to go. So
yeah, and I like every Hobbit. Like Asok on the Borg is one of the best pieces from Weta for sure. Like amazing. Also the Smaug pieces, amazing. The Thranduil Throne, Dane, Dol Guldur pieces, amazing. But they just like, if I would have space, I would keep them, of course. But I don't, and I need to make some sort of decision, so I am happy with the collection myself, and that's the most important thing. So at some level, at least for now, they are going most likely when the snow and so on go away from Finland. Then I'm most likely, because I don't want to broke anything. So I'm waiting for spring, and then I make my decision, and then we see how things turns out.
You mentioned Sam versus Shelob. I think that would be a really cool piece. I can picture it in my head, with maybe Shelob and a bit of a rock, and she's perched up on there with Frodo, and that moment, Sam's holding the vial and Sting, and he's, let her go, or let him go, you filth. That would be a really cool piece.
Yeah, and that side of the movies are really badly presented. Like you don't have any statues from, like you have one statue with Frodo and Sam and orc armor, and that's it. You don't have anything from Ithilien or on they're going Gondor or nothing related to them. Okay, you have now the Iron Studios one actually. That's kind of, there is Frodo and Sam, but it's still a bit underrepresented in my opinion. They are now making the new Master collection piece, the Dead Marshes. That's a good one. I'm having actually that one coming as well. So that's good for and Sam piece as well. But I think they could do more with that side of the story as well.
Yeah, and it would be cool to see them with Bilbo and Big End. They did the premium version, right? And then they did the classic series where it was just Bilbo at his desk, and I think it would be great if Weta did the premium Sam versus Shelob, having the vial light up, and you get that whole diorama, and then just offer just Sam in that pose on his own as a classic series, or because not everyone's going to want a giant spider in their collection. Maybe they're
arachnophobes in the crowd.
Or maybe their significant others just don't want that in the house. But and just having Sam in that pose is enough for them. They know what scene that's from, what moment that is, and that's a good enough representation. And then, you know, there's the other factor of budget. You know, not everyone will be able to afford the premium of Sam versus Shelob, but they could afford that just single Sam. And there's not a lot of Sams out there in 1/6 scale, you know.
Absolutely not. And you can also put it next to the old Shelob. That goes pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not the same scale, but you get the idea still.
So please, Weta, if you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah, make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. Actually, I had a question about a comment you made there, because you said you'd like to see or would like to put together a version of the Witch King versus Gandalf confrontation. Now, I have never liked that scene in the movie. It was only put in for the director's cut, the extended version. And in a way, I was excited to see it, and then because it's one of my favorite bits in the book, and then I was disappointed with how they did it, because it made, for one, it's done incorrectly. It's not how it happens in the book. The timing, the place, everything about it, but mainly that it just makes Gandalf look like such a weakling, and that's just not. There's a lot of things wrong with that scene, but if you were to try and do it, would you recreate the scene as in the book or the one from the movie? Because you're talking about how the UMan Studios Witch King on horse is kind of like your bad boy outlier, doesn't really fit, but he is on a horse, just like he is in that scene in the movie. So if you could get the perfect Gandalf on Shadowfax to face him off with, I think that would be the perfect recreation of that scene rather than what we got. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely a choice, an option for sure. I'm not too strict about what's different from the book and the movies, because that's just a different game. You never can do them exactly the same. There is many things I don't like the movies, and they could done better if you compare to the book, but it's done by the view of the makers and so on. So as long as my story is going to tell pretty much the movie version, because it is, so I'm fine if Weta does it in the movie way, even if it's not the correct one. But I'm also up if, example, Human wants to make a Gandalf with Shadowfax, but I highly doubt that they are out of the game, because the painter or
John
Howe went for the dark side. So I think Human is out of the Lord of the Rings, and it's just one piece they made. But yeah, if something like fitting comes, that's actually an option for sure.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, but that needs a lot of room as well, because it's 1:4 scale. So then it takes quite a bit of room. So I would definitely need another corner case for that if my plan is going to work for the boost one. Yeah.
Right
on. Well, that basically concludes our collection tour. So for those of you who are who have watched that, we thank you for sticking around. And then if you feel like sticking around a little longer, Jesse actually was in New Zealand for 3 months, and he did a bit of a tour. So we just gonna maybe chat about that. But if you're just here for the collection tour, then we thank you for watching. Don't forget to tune into the Ultimate Collectors Forum, the Flame of Udun, and if you have any Unite Cutlery needs, don't forget CastleCon. So thank you for joining us. But let's hear about your trip to New Zealand, Jesse.
Yeah, sure.
You were there for 3 months. What were some of your favorite locations?
Okay, so the first thing, if I need to tell just one location, it's actually not my favorite from the movies, but it's actually from Hobbit. And it's when the dwarves are trekking under the waterfall, and then they are trekking in the mountain ridge. And the place itself in New Zealand is just so special. They actually used it in the new series, in the Ring of Power. It's the place where the Moria's door is. That's the place in New Zealand, and that's just like, you need to walk 8-9 hours to get there, and that place is just, there is like there's like 20, 30 waterfalls, and it's just a really unique place. I didn't find many that magical place in New Zealand, and that's a lot to say because the nature there is super cool. And I walked 2,400 kilometers or something like that. So I went super many places, and I did 3 to 5 day treks and stuff like that. So I went to the backcountry, and that place is just super special. So if I would need to pick one, it would be that. And the next one, even though it's quite well known and so, but the Medusel place, where the Rohan capital is, it's just exactly like the movie. So it's super special place as well, because you can see all the mountains are exactly the same. You can't say that from many places. There is like they have reversed the mountains in the movies from the location and stuff like that, but that place is exactly like in the movies. So it's a pretty special place. And of course, everyone likes Hobbiton, but for me, it was just way too crowded, and you didn't really get the feeling of being in another world, really, because that's what I got from a couple other places there.
Did you do the Weta cave tour?
Yeah, and I actually got one statue from them as well.
Oh yeah.
I got the buff. Yeah, they gave me buffer just for like being. I haven't even collected so long that time, so that's really nicely done from them. But it's signed with the actor, and yeah, it was a cool thing. And I was pretty surprised that I didn't even need to pay anything of it. Like I was like, why? Why did you give it to me? Like, but yeah, it's still in the case, so brought it back home.
Nice.
Yeah, they are super nice people with a bit of trouble right now.
So what would you recommend to those who are planning a trip to New Zealand? You know, it sounded like you did a lot of the backpacking, backcountry stuff. What would you recommend to those who are looking to do the same, who maybe want to get off the beaten path, who aren't afraid to sleep in the woods? What would you kind of recommend to those people planning that kind of trip to New Zealand?
Just don't try to do too much. Like things are really spread out in New Zealand. It takes a long time to go from place to place, and you just don't want to hurry all the time and miss all the great places. So you want to take it chill and relax, and you know, don't be hasty. Take your time, enjoy the amazing view. And for those who are not there so long, don't try to go everywhere, because you can't. It's just so huge place. Even if it don't look, even if it don't like feel like it, it's just so huge place, and you want to spend time on some cool places more than just 15 minutes. So don't try to do everything if you are there for months. Just pick some cool places and try to focus things around that, and then maybe come another time for another place. But yeah, you can of course do it pretty fast if you want, but you are going to miss so many cool places. And I would say that if you want to go backcountry and stuff like that, know how capable of you are, because there is some hard tracks. There is like for me example, I was in the mountains one day, and the weather just went 360 in 5 seconds. Like it was sunny and all, then it was like heavy snowfall, and I was like it was lucky that I even got out of there before it went like super crazy. So just know what you are doing, and just enjoy the place. And if you are experienced trekker or hiker or whatever, the people who are there like responsibility of the tracks and stuff, they are like trying to make you not go, because there is so many accidents because people think that they can do anything. So if you are experienced, don't be afraid of them saying that it's like pretty dangerous there, or it's like not doable or stuff like that. So because I skipped a couple tracks in the start when there was snow, because I trusted that they actually evaluate right. But for me, because I'm from Finland and we have a lot of snow and ice and stuff like that, there was nothing that could not be done. So I missed like Tongariro crossing on the winter setting, for example, and then I had to do it on this spring, so there was no snow and it was totally different. So yeah, you just know what you can do and how experienced you are, and trust yourself as well as listen to what they have to say.
Right.
It's good advice.
How did you split your time between the North Island and South Island? I think a majority of the film locations were on the South Island because it's a little more rugged and less populated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think I spent only 6 days when I came to New Zealand on the North Island at the start, and then I just went pretty fast to the South Island, and I think it was like day 60 or 65 when I came back to North Iceland. So I was about 30 days in North and 60 days in South. Not
Okay.
exactly, but it's something like that. Like in South, there is absolutely more places to go and more hikes to do and more movie related stuff to do for sure.
Right. Okay.
Were there sites
yeah.
that you wanted to visit but just weren't able?
For example, the spot from first movie where Boromir and Aragorn was fighting with the hobbits, and then the not eagles, the Cerebron came from the sky and they went hiding. That place is super cool, and I always wanted to go there. But it was like 3-day hiking, and it was like not a track, so you had to have know which like way you go and actually look them up and stuff like that, and it's up and down, and you maybe don't even find the spot. So I didn't want to like waste. I know it would be beautiful, but I just skipped it because it was unlikely that I would actually find the place from that place. And the helicopter was like 8,000 euros or something like that, more than I used actually in 3 months. So not my thing. but with helicopter you can get there pretty easily, and for sure it's one place that I would super love to be. So yeah, there is so many places I didn't go as well, because some are on private land and you would need to pay like 200 to sleep on place to go there, and some just don't even want you there in the first place. And I actually went to see the forest where Arwen was running away from ring raids, and it's private land, and I was lucky that the guy who came there to ask me what I'm doing there was like that guy and not the next guy, because the next guy would most likely point me with a shotgun and told me to go fuck away. So there is like, not everyone loves tourist people there, so just respect the local people and go where you can. But there is so many places you can pick and go.
Cool. Did you get to
Always
meet
good advice.
any of the Weta crew when you were down there?
Not really the crew. I got, of course, when you make the Weta tour, there is some craftsmanship and painter and stuff like that doing work, and you can see them, but personally no. But I got, of course, touch with the guy who was back then the customer supporter, and I met with him, and they tried to actually get meeting with Richard, but he was not in the country when I was in Wellington, because I wasn't there for multiple days because I wanted to keep moving and find the movie location. So that didn't happen, but they treated me really well and showed me some places there on their Weta cave that maybe not everyone can see. I guess so. I was in the office at least. So yeah, they are really super friendly, and they really like to keep care of you, even if the new collectors don't really feel that way these days, because there has been some problem. But in my experience, they really try to make you happy and so on.
That sounds just like Kiwis.
Yeah, that sounds just like Kiwis. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that was about it for my questions on your trip to New Zealand. Thanks for sharing that with us and just sitting down in general and showing us your collection. You had to take time out of your evening, and it's almost like you invited us into your home and showed us around. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for asking me, and actually everyone who, if you ever come to Finland, feel free to come to my house, and I will gladly show my collection as well in person. that's like, as long as you respect the place, you're welcome.
Nice. If we are ever
Absolutely.
there, we will certainly
Yeah.
drop by.
It's on my
Yeah,
list.
cool. Cool.
Maybe next time Finland hosts the World Juniors, we can catch some hockey and Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
collections.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I might have some hockey things as well, because
Nice.
yeah, I have been playing hockey as well, and I know some of the Finnish hockey players, so we might have a thing or two that I can show to you.
Nice. Very cool.
Excellent.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Jesse. You have a great evening.
Yeah,
And
same for you guys. It's morning, I guess, for you.
yes. So
Thanks, Jesse.
We will see you around on Facebook and on the Flame of Udun, and we're looking forward to seeing pictures in the future of how you rearrange some of your shelves there, and should be exciting.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for you guys too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Take
Yeah,
care.
thanks.